No? Okay. So yes, a pleasant good night to you, Miss Alitia Kado. Welcome to GEM FM. And it has been a long time coming. Now you're here.
Yes, thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Well, again, we'll talk to you tonight on this show called Living the Dream.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I really do, I do this show because I want to bring out the best among us, to expose us to the world, to let people know who we are, what we do in the diaspora. So people in Grenada and around the world could see us, know us, so who we are. So tonight is no different. I had your friend Christine Graham. That was my,
Yes.
my very first guest on this show, and I know that she's doing well. I spoke to her. I texted her last 2 days or so, and we had a good like a back and forth there. But I'm glad to have you here, and our meeting together was virtual. Uh,
Yes.
we served on the same committee at one point, and with the in the NDC um, chapter summary, something like that. But we're doing preparing for election.
Yes.
Set the right tone for the election. And you're an integral part of that. And that's where I get to meet you. I
Mm-hmm.
met you there, and thereafter I met you at the Prime Minister's Gala.
Yes.
I met you at the yeah, the Prime Minister's Gala. Yeah, because in September I met you at the Caribbean Tale Film Festival.
Mm-hmm. That's right. At Harborfront, I believe.
Yeah, I was gonna say. And so that's where a great people meet. Yes.
You're right.
A great people show up there.
Yeah.
They expected is people who don't expect to meet bunks into a lot of people. Uh,
Yes, you do.
I met what's the name, Tanya Williams from The Young and the Restless.
Oh, my favorite. Wow.
I met her among other people. That was really, I'm really excited about that. Okay, it's people you see on screen, you get to meet them, touch them, and they feel them. They're real people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because it's so good to see them in real life.
Yeah,
It's so different.
they're so simple. There's no,
Yeah. Regular people.
yeah, regular Joes,
Mhm.
And with that, I say to myself, man, sometimes we have to take a chill pill and don't get too excited, but live life nice, Because people,
Everyone's a star these days.
yeah, people are people, and you cannot put more boundaries up with people. Just let be free and have a good
Absolutely.
space. So tonight we're going to talk about you and to you. Yes, who is Alitia, and we'll go on to that, right? Um, I want to say to you that not very much people I know in our community do what you have been doing and what you're doing presently. I want to start by asking you, uh, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Who is Alitia?
Okay, a lot of people want to know. Well, I'll start from the beginning. And I was born in the UK. My parents are Grenadian, and I emigrated to Canada from the UK in when I was around 6 years old with my other two siblings. My father was already situated here in Canada for a couple of years, and then, we joined as a family. And I grew up in the famous Caledonian Eglinton area. So I went to school predominantly in that area and also high school on the Eglinton strip, as they called it at that time. So,
Right.
and we all know about the famous Eglinton area that was a heavily populated West Indian community, and now it's called Little Jamaica. So
Yes.
most of my childhood was growing up amongst Caribbean people, especially Grenadians, and being amongst my community. And how I got into the field was in high school. I was fortunate to work with some social workers my last year, and they were working with families who were having challenges. So they were doing group therapy. And I would work with the young children that were waiting for their parents during therapy. And we would do activities together and just do a lot of fun games. And after the session would be over, the social workers would come out and let me know what they did in their practice during the time that they had the parents. And I thought, you know what? This is something that I could do. So I decided, right from high school, went into college and really liked the idea of working with young people that were facing some challenges. I knew what it was like facing challenges growing up here.
Right,
Thought,
right.
you know what? I've always been in community. I've always had a strong sense of family. So it would be nice to just work with people um, that were coming from all different walks of life, but they might have been suffering from some trauma, some anxiety, some depression, and they really needed somewhere where they can get stable,
Right.
function. So I started doing that and worked in the hospital settings for many years. I used to teach in community colleges. And during COVID, there was a call to action during the George Floyd murder.
Okay.
And they wanted to see more visible therapists of color. Uh, and I thought, you know what, this is a good time for me to start my practice and work with my community. I had a lot of experience working with diverse clientele.
Right.
I never really focused primarily on one group. And I thought this is a good time for me to do that.
Great. So, what are some of the challenges that you are experiences, character building, if I would say, that you encounter in your community compared to other communities?
Right. Well, working in predominantly the Black community, Afro Caribbean community, and African community, I see a lot of challenges, and some of them I identify with. And the first one is migration. Coming to a country that may not have the same climate that you're accustomed to may cause some challenges for you. And
Right.
also just positioning yourself in the community where maybe there could have been some prominence where you were from. You may have had a different position socially, and you're coming here and things are a little bit different. And what I mean by different, you might not have that status that you had before. Economically, things may have changed for you. You might be returning to a position where, you know what, you might need to upgrade yourself and you're going back and you're getting some more education. Or maybe you decided as a young person you're emigrating here and you want to start a new life. So there may be many different things that you could be going through depending on your age, your social location. What are those things that you aspire to do and to be once you've emigrated here?
Right.
And, sometimes some people fit in very well, they adjust and assimilate, and they're able to function in the system that they're in. They may have had some family support along the way, and they're able to adjust. Now, for some people, coming to a new place where you may feel a little bit disconnected may cause some challenges for you. So, for a therapist like myself, we would want to know what are those complex issues? What are those challenges that you could be facing that could cause you to have a little bit of emotional distress? So, my company, Minds I Like, what we do is we provide you with the tools and the strategies that you need to cope
So
with
what are
stress.
some of the methods you use in your profession to deal with those things?
Yes, and the modality that I use is CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. And
Mm.
what we do is examine your thoughts and your feelings around particular situations. And I'm checking in with you just to find out how you think and feel about these situations and what are those challenges that are causing barriers in your mind to achieving the success or the desired outcome that you would like. So I would sit with you and address what are those barriers that are holding you back.
Mhm.
If you are experiencing some emotional distress, to develop some coping strategies with you so that you're able to manage your emotions a little bit easier. And now, what I'm doing along with goal setting is creating a wellness plan of activities and tools and strategies that help you stay focused, reduce some of that tension, and develop a plan so that you can integrate all these strategies, feel better about the decisions that you're making, and lead with confidence.
Right. Just as a follow-up question,
Mm-hmm.
you just said, um, can you see what level of success you have achieved, and to what do you do to attribute to the success, to that success story for, when you look and evaluate what happened
Mm-hmm.
that you have used, what level of success you have achieved, and to what do you do, right? Attribute to those success.
Okay, well, I do a couple of things. The first thing is, how do people know um, coming to a therapist really helps them alleviate some of that stress? Well, I'm a objective, non-judgmental person. I don't know a lot about your day-to-day activities. But when you're meeting with me and we're discussing how things are happening for you and what you're experiencing, I'm
Mhm.
able to ask you some guided questions that will help you feel comfortable in this space so that you can address some of those things that are holding you back. And how I do that is through the reframing and also identifying to you that when we're having a conversation, there
Mhm.
might be a couple of things that might come up that
Right.
are recurring themes. And I would want to get some more information from you as to, you know, why are these things occurring? And can you give me some insight into what's happening in your life and how you think and how you problem solve?
Right.
And just through that self awareness and some self reflection, we
Mhm.
could really dig down and start thinking about your responses and your reactions to your environment, because sometimes we have a pattern and a way of doing things that are based on our own learned behavior. It could
Mhm.
be things that we've learned growing up, or things that have influenced us in our environment. So I really like to get a full picture and an understanding of what are those things that really affect you. And through that conversation, we'll be able to come up with some strategies and some activities that you can try and see if they work in your environment by just implementing and changing some things. And the second thing that I like to also talk about is mindfulness and just being aware of your present moment and the things that are happening in our environment. And I find sometimes in our community, we are on autopilot and we just plug in and we just put our heads down and we just go and we continue in terms of our work and our life. And sometimes we really don't take that time to pause
Right.
and self reflect. So,
Mhm.
through mindfulness and being in my space, we're able to take that time for you to pause,
Right.
to think about some of the things that have been affecting you over a period of time. And I'm really giving you that space and that validation that maybe you never received. that made you feel like you were worthy, that made you feel like you were whole, that made you feel like you were feeling a sense of worth. And I try through that support and validation to really encourage you to open up, share your feelings, and also to find some ways to help you learn and grow as a person.
There is a book written by Bernard Code back in 1970, 71.
Okay.
The book is called How the West Indian Child Was Made Educationally Subnormal in the British School System. There was the last 2 years ago, during the COVID, somebody made a docu-movie out of it. It's in its fifth publication, right? And that had to do with West Indian children going to England, fully educated, well-adjusted, but the system sort of pushed them aside and ridicule them, kind of make them feel subnormal. In your work as a therapist, with students coming from the Caribbean, do you feel a sense of abandonment for them, or do you feel that the system have not adjusted to them, compared to them adjusting to the system, the accommodation, they feel like I'm not worthy to be in this environment? Have you encountered students like that?
Yes, and I really want to address that. Coming from another country myself, there was a set of expectations. And when I arrived and I was, into the school system, I realized that there was a lot of differences from the way that I was taught versus the way that the teachers shared their instructions when I was entering high school. And I realized that there was a difference that created a barrier for Caribbean students. And remember, we are coming from one British system to another colonized system.
What we still say twist.
Yeah, and what is missing is our identity. There was nothing in the curriculum. Maybe it's changed today, and I'm sure there's, lots of people that are really making sure that Black history, Canadian history is mandatory in our primary and elementary and high school levels. And coming from the Caribbean, I mean, everyone looks like you. Your identity is already formed. You already have a sense of self and knowing who you are. And when you're coming here and you're being told different things about who were the conquerors and who were the ones that really made a difference in this society here, this part of the industrialized revolution, the European countries, we weren't written into the books.
Right.
There was nothing that really identified who we were unless it was something that was ingrained from your community or through your family. Now, growing up here and just learning about all the amazing things that people that look like me have achieved and have done was amazing. But I always wanted to know, why wasn't that reflected in our history books? Why wasn't it reflected in my day-to-day discussions with my peers growing up? We would get our identity from outside of the school system. Yeah.
Because is it because the school system was not designed with us in mind?
Wasn't.
Right? So let me ask this other question, because sometimes our community have to be our village, yes, that raise us up.
Absolutely.
As a therapist and as a Grenadian, a Black person, a Black woman in our community, do you think our community have enough engagement educationally to inform us, to help us to transition into the society that we come into? Because there's some really, really prominent Black folks in this country.
Yes, there are. Mm-hmm.
From your vantage point, being around and doing what you're doing here, um, do you get a sense of urgency on the part of those leaders, those persons, to help transform or to help us to settle in the community better than we are accommodated to by the system or by the powers that be?
Well, what I'm noticing now is that there's a huge community of support. As long as we know who they are and who
Mhm.
we can identify and connect with, then we're going to gravitate towards them. I would like them to be more. I would like to see more people advocate for our youth in these spaces.
Mhm.
Um, what I find challenging is just the consistency. I would like to see that happen. I grew up in a home where my parents were involved. They were involved in the school. My dad was on the Parent Teachers Association.
Mhm.
So for them, they felt that, you know what, in order for them to really have a full sense of what's happening education wise, they had to be involved in some way. They had to be in a system where they can call up a teacher or attend parent teachers association and get the information firsthand. Now unfortunately, because of our schedules, we don't always have the luxury of taking the time off
Mhm.
to attend these appointments. And I do say to parents, we need to really look at our schedules and prioritize what we think is important. And I know because of the tightness of some of our financial responsibilities, sometimes some of these appointments fall in the evening time where majority of us have evening work or we're getting off at a later time and we might not have um, access to go there directly and meet
Right.
with teachers. So if parents could find a way to ask someone or a group of people that can be responsible
Mhm.
to work as a
Yes,
collective. And
yes,
if one
yes.
person can't make it, then at least you have someone in your team or in your community that can go and represent you on your behalf. If there is something challenging that's happening at the school, this person is well versed on what's happening and they could speak on your behalf and they can represent your child if you're unable to do that. Now, I do see people stepping up in the community now, and they are doing it, and there are organizations out there that do this work. So if people are looking for someone to advocate for them on their behalf, and they would like someone to represent them in the school system, then feel free to reach out to me. I will definitely connect you. I will definitely give you some suggestions of what you can do if you need that support. I have attended family meetings and school meetings for parents on their behalf. Um,
Right.
and we have to really face the reality that our school experience growing up as adults may be different than what your children are experiencing now. And
Mhm.
everyone says, oh, it's not the same. The structure is the same.
Yeah.
The colonial
It's
information that they want to give you is the same. But we want to do something different now is advocate for more Black history, more representation, and we want to decolonize the way that people learn.
right.
Because you know what, for us to thrive in these spaces, we have to know more about us and the greatness of ourselves and the things that we've done as people along the way. Because we've been here for many years.
Yes, yes,
For some
yes.
reason, it's just not written in the history books. But once you're connected in community, you will get to realize the greatness of what we've done as people.
I say this to say now that it's time that the lion write the story about the hunt and not the hunters write mystery about the lion.
Exactly. The information's there. We just have
Yeah,
to seek it.
yeah.
It's buried for some reason. And, once you're on that mission to find it, you will find it.
I want to ask you a question here because I know there's a lot of things. Um, who do you really serve in your business? What demographic do you serve?
Oh,
And how do you go about finding your clients in this? I mean, who you serve really? Who are the people that you serve in your business?
well, right now, 90% of my clientele are identified as Black,
Mm,
Caribbean, African, people of color.
okay.
I do have Caucasians in my practice, and they enjoy working with me, but I like to reserve my space for my people.
Mm,
Reason being, we do not have the experience and the luxury
mm,
of accessing therapy.
right.
And because of some of the constraints that we are under, our self-care sometimes goes by the wayside.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that we have to budget some of these things. So
Right.
when I am supporting people, I'm supporting them across their developmental age span. Now, I prefer to work with young adults, which is starting at 19 to 45-ish and up. Um, I do have a lot of experience working with young people. And basically, when you are connecting with them at that young of a stage, when they're 19 and up, they're going through a lot of developmental transitions and life stages.
Mm,
And in those life stages, they're really trying to find out their sense of self, their sense of identity, what they would like to do for their future,
mm,
um, how are they managing relationships? How are they communicating with others to get their needs met? And also, they are really navigating through all those different transitions in life. And then
right.
on top of that, depending on what's happening with us when it comes to our own health, there might be some other things that are happening along the way that might trigger some trauma.
Right. I want to ask you that because we see and you grew up here at a young age.
Yeah.
um, You see the transition of children, young adults coming to this country.
Mm-hmm.
There is more young female become more successful in terms of finishing high school, finishing college, finishing university than young black male. What would you say is the deciding factor being around that environment that contributes to that? Is it money, lack of proper parental guidance? Uh, is there a lack of something in the home that causes a young man to walk away from the educational system? Or is it peer pressure? What would you say is the most deciding factor for that level of dysfunctionality among our young black men compared to our young black girls or young ladies?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of studies out there that say that young girls develop and mature much faster than young men do.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at developmentally, how are young men stimulated in terms of their learning needs and their capacity versus young girls? And if there's a stigma in the classroom about young Black boys, that they have they might have that, um, those characteristics that are out there that say that young Black boys may be violent, or
Yeah.
they
Oh,
may
exactly what they're
not
doing.
have the ability to read, or they're not being challenged. Like, why are these things happening? And
Mm-hmm.
why are these things reoccurring all the time? For me, that's what's concerning to me, is how are people stimulated in the classroom, and how are they encouraged to learn?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, if the teacher is coming in with a preconceived idea, and they're coming in with a stigma of identifying a certain group of people as not being
able to learn to read.
Having, or having, equity in the classroom. You
Right.
already have a
Mm,
lack of sense of identity, and then you're not getting any stimulation in your classroom, and then you're not being challenged and encouraged. You're
right.
going to be disinterested, and you're going to be disconnected. So even though we know that we might not get that full attention and
Mhm.
that full support in school, okay, so then what happens when they come home?
Right.
Happens when they're connecting in their community? What are those extracurricular activities that we're supporting our young people in so that they can thrive in other ways?
Right.
Because, I mean, look at the structure of a classroom. You're sitting down for 7 hours,
Mhm.
and not everyone learns in that way. Some people learn through movement, some people learn through music, some people learn through different social activities.
Right. Right.
And, I really like to look at that there's many different ways that we learn and absorb information. Some of us are really good with our hands, and we could make and create wonderful masterpieces.
Right.
But
Right.
what are those areas that we are really looking at our young people? And when we're seeing that they're really good in one area, what are
Mm,
we doing outside of the school environment to encourage them and to stimulate those activities? And I grew up in an environment where, I had to have a social connection. I had to be in some type of team sports or organized sports. And I played a lot of sports throughout my high school. And out in the community, I was in an organized team.
mm. Let me
That is
ask this,
important.
because sometimes we look at teaching and teachers come to teach maths, English, science, subject, and that's it. They have, and this, even though there's 45, sometimes, I know there's a class, sometimes 45 or 28 students in a class, 40 students in a class. And all that 48 or 28 students have different needs.
Yeah.
Right? But this teacher comes in there to teach English. That's all she comes to do. She doesn't care about the needs of the child. I'm going to get my subject matter in and out. The science teacher coming there, and this child may not be interested in science, but this is what that class is being done now.
Hmm.
But he might be a good draftsman, he won't be a mechanic. Why do we system wait until college to make a selective instead of doing it from the high school and get that child who might be disrupting the class, right? He's not interested in maths. But if you go into a mechanic course, he will take math because it's part of what he have to do. But having him going through high school, primary school, high school, maths, English, maths, English, maths, English, science, right up. And when he finish high school, he'll go to college now and
Hmm.
choose what he want to be. Why can't the system, and I'm faulting you here, just asking, because what I'm asking to us, asking the system, why can't they teach teachers to identify the specific needs in those children so they could better educate them? Because sometimes we kind of miss children who could have been a good mechanic, could have been a good computer scientist, could be probably a good fire person, becoming a fireman. So if we get these are our classes, right? Our
Hmm.
could like to identify the skills that the student possess and the needs that they have, right? Wouldn't that be a better thing that we get more people staying in school and to better serve our community, society at a whole?
Absolutely. And that's why I talk about stimulation and
Mm,
how we stimulate young people to learn and to encourage them to really dive into using all of their senses in order for them to really gather what their interests are. I mean, I'm finding it really surprising when people come to my practice and they tell me at 19 and 20 that they really aren't sure what they want to do, and
mm,
they're not sure what direction they need to go in. And, I start to think, well, what would have happened in their life where they didn't get any access or opportunity to
mm,
see people that look like us be successful and to thrive? Because there should be something that we're looking at or gravitating towards or looking at that
Mm.
stimulates some type of creativity in us that says,
Yeah,
hey, you know what? When I get older, I'm going to look into this because it's something that I would like to do. And just for me, one spark, that's all it took. And then I thought, hey, let me check this out and see. And then also growing up here and, just meeting people with different complex issues and
right.
saying to myself, hey, you know what? This is an area that I'd like to go in. So when they're saying to me, hey, I don't know what I want to do, then I start to go back and I say, well, what are your strengths? What are the things that you remember when you look at your report cards, when you had a job, when you looked on your resume? What were those things that people could have said that they pointed at and they said, hey, you look like you're really good at that?
Right.
Because some of us are in survival mode.
Mm.
And all we're thinking about is as soon as I get out of high school, I need to get a job. But we're not really saying, hey, you know what? How about if I reframe the way that I think about that and say, what am I going to do for a career that's going to set me up for a lifetime of
Mm.
success? And
Right.
once we're able to pinpoint that, then there should be mentors available to say, hey, you know what? I've done this, and
Mm.
this is how it can be done. And unfortunately, in some schools, we're not seeing the consistency
It-
of having people come in that look like me and saying, you
mm.
know what? I have my own business. I used to work for people, but then I realized that I can maximize all my potential and
Mm.
everything that I know, and I can step out on my own confidently and boldly and say, yes,
Exactly.
I can make it and I can be successful.
That's a key thing because a lot of times the entrepreneurship that is trapped in a lot of us,
Hmm.
right? The 45, what I call, I have something I call the 40-40 plan. 40 years or 40 hours of the week, the 45-40 plan. People do it for all the 45 years of 40 hours they give to the job, right? After
Okay.
in school. And at the end of the day, they end up like what I think was Agman, said, they're disabled or broke, right? And after 40 years of service, the company make a whole lot of profit and you have nothing. It just become another plantation, so to speak, just doing the on the treadmill, doing it.
Hmm.
But if we have a structured way of incorporating the skills and getting people to sort of understand who they are, what they want, and come along and coach them, pull them out from that classroom of just maths and say, hey, what do you really want to do, Tony? Well, I want to be a mechanic. So you're bringing a mechanic to deal with Tony perhaps on a Wednesday. I take Tony on a field trip, tell him to the mechanic shop on a Thursday. So that's Tony day for the mechanic shop, right? So you go during the high school or during the junior school, he goes to the mechanic shop,
Yeah.
right? And learn to fix bricks, learn to change oil. By the time he graduates out of high school or even college, he's a full-blown mechanic. He understands the workings, right? So probably then he could probably open his own shop, take business courses, how to manage a business, how to do accounting, and stuff like that. So you train him up in that aspect of what he wants to be, right? Because sometimes a child you do English, math, science, and that's all you do right up to
Yeah.
high school, and then I want to be a nurse now. So then I'm going to try to be a nurse now. When this child, high school, want to be a nurse, why not send them to the hospital to work alongside with a nurse to see, let's say, every Wednesday, there's 2 or 3 students, send to different hospitals to learn and to see what's going on so they could develop that mindset. Well, if I really want to be that, I could be that in truth. So work alongside the nurse, they show what is done, and they're taking the classes that will help you, aid you in becoming that. When you get into college, it's easier for you to transition to that.
Yes.
The other thing I see happening is that we do not, I don't, the parenting, right, to
Mm.
me is a big factor. And we talked about it earlier on, the job situation, the Russian job, and they're not able to come into the space to represent the children, to come and speak on behalf of the children, and so on. And I've been on the board too, school board, but I make that choice
Yeah.
for Genesis. And I noticed a lot of things that, and my wife now was very adamant about not having Genesis do. She wanted to do regular classes. She wanted to do academic classes. Right? Do the academics, because when you finish, still go back and do it, she says. So and they was kind of push her into dancing, dance, music. That's what they push the Black kids into.
Yeah.
And the other students going to become the lawyers and doctors and so on. So I'm saying that from the home, right? We love music, yes. As Black people, we love music. That will always come. But we could be the plumber, we could be the construction worker, we could still be the lawyer, we could still be the doctor, we could still be the politician, right? But because they kind of push into us basketball, go play basketball. How much of us really make it to the basketball arena and top notch, right? How much of us make it go dance? Some of us could really make a career in dancing that pays you enough money, So the system is kind of pushing us on the side, right? And the few of us who decide we're not going to follow that path, we go step aside, get out of this rat race and go on the side and do something for ourselves. Do what we really want to do and bring others with us. And sometimes we find it difficult to even bring somebody with us because some people say, no, stay here. There's always cheese here. I go stay here until the cheese is over. They stay in it and then they realize, oh my God, who moved my cheese? You know what I mean? The cheese is gone. But with that being said, we have a work to do in our community. And I want to ask you this question here because I think sometimes we tend to lose focus. A lot of people in business, yeah, we get goal confusion. We have and different people pushing different things at us, and we kind of lose focus a little bit. What is the number one thing? That one thing that help you to stay focused, given the fact that you're doing so many different people as a therapist? What is the one thing that keep you focused?
Well, what keeps me focused is mindfulness. Yeah, that's what keeps me focused. And, it's just being present and fully aware of doing things with intention and, just allowing my thoughts and my gifts and my creativity to flow through me so that I can help other people heal from trauma, anxiety, stress, and depression. And yeah, and understanding that, yeah.
Because you just strike a chord there because mental illness, all right, derived from a number of things in our young people today, right? And I want to ask you this question. What causes stress in our daily lives? Does stress lead to, in some cases, in many cases, leads to so-called mental illness? What is the main cause of stress, especially among our young people today?
Well, there's a couple of things that are causing people to really feel overwhelmed because, there is good stress and there is bad stress.
Wow, tell us about that.
The good stress is, when you're anticipating something thrilling and exciting and it's really new and you really see your vision and you're going to be achieving it. Sometimes you need a little bit of those butterflies, right?
Let me ask you a question. So good stress would be being in a love relationship for the very first time.
Well, those are different type of butterflies, you know what I mean? But it's kind of similar, right? Because it's just something new and it's exciting and it's just that rush part of it. So, and sometimes when you have that competitive type of adrenaline, type of energy, that helps you. It fuels you and it motivates you to want to do something. It helps you achieve. It helps you get to, that desired goal that you want. The other stress is when you're experiencing a lot of overwhelm and you're feeling a huge emotional shift of energy because the amount of things that you're taking on or the amounts of things that you're doing
Right.
are causing you a little bit of pain and frustration and sadness to the point where you're not really feeling good about some of the decisions and the choices that you've made. So instead of getting some joy from it, you're getting a lot of displeasure, you're feeling discontented, you're feeling really pressured, and you're not feeling joy. So when I look at stress, it's just the absence of your joy
Absence of
and not being able to manage it.
I noticed something that you have written on your page.
Mhm.
Changing my life, change my circle. And you say, change my mindset, change my circle.
Yeah, 'cause I
I
still have
want,
the same
I want to
friends.
explain, yeah.
I haven't really changed my friends. I'm one of those people that, I always like to, I'm so loyal to people and I love
Yeah.
people and, we're all at different stages of our life and not all of us can achieve the greatest, but some people achieve the best to their ability and I still want to validate them and I still encourage them. But changing my mindset is really what helped me um, grow and change my life.
Right.
And, growing up, there's so much things that are you're bombarded with and so many different messages that tell you that you're not good enough or that you're not worthy or in order to be accepted you have to look a certain way, you have to present yourself a certain way, or the way that you speak helps you get noticed, or if I would had my patois then they would be discriminating against me. So what I want to encourage people to do is to really look at some of those messages and where they're coming from. Some of it is coming from society and comparison, and a lot of people talk to me about imposter syndrome of comparing themselves to others and really feeling that they don't measure up or they don't live up to a certain thing. I'm also hearing this from men in my practice that they feel in order to be seen, they have to have a certain amount of money, they have to have a certain amount of wealth acquired. They have to have a certain look or certain presentation, or they're not feeling validated. And also, there's some expectations for women versus expectations for men. And people are really feeling pressured by all these different messages and expectations.
Right.
And it's causing people to feel overwhelmed because they're thinking, okay, well, who do I need to be in order to get somewhere? And I'm saying you don't need to do any of that.
Will be
This is
you.
a patriarchal society. This is a colonized society, and some of the customs and the beliefs that we are used to as African and Caribbean people have been demonized. So if we are comparing ourselves, who are we comparing ourselves to?
I think there's a factor that it is a sort of a demand expectations, if you will, for men to be always be the provider,
Yeah,
financially, spiritually, socially. You gotta live up to that image of that expectation,
yeah,
yes, of him being that person, that strong person. Uh, whereas the woman have a different expectation for women to sit properly, make sure you cook and clean the house and raise it and take care of the children. Um, and that has been the expectation of both male and female, the traditional man and the traditional woman.
yes,
In our society today, the traditional woman don't really exist in most cases. All right. We have women living, they put career before family. They want to have they want to have degrees, master degrees, PhDs before they have children. Then we catch up themselves at 45 years old. I have no children, no husband, not the one, and oh my God, what did I do? And so this stress that comes along with that now, I had to adopt a child. I can, and then a man said, I want a family. Men are more prone to having families, right? Than just having a life, just free. Right? You want to have a family, you want to have children, you want his lineage to continue growing. and he preferred to marry somebody younger that could bring him joy with a child, a children, right? And then you look around and you say, well, she's 45, she's 35. I forgot to a 21-year-old or 25-year-old could bring me 3, 4 children. And we see men and we hear them talking about those things, you know?
Okay.
Women are they look good, smell good, educated, have their house, have their cars,
Yeah.
but they can't find what they call how do they say it, Nazem? A valuable man. But the valuable man not looking at you anymore. He's looking at a younger girl now that could continue his lineage. He want to have a family. And you to the woman that is 45 and 50, he's 44, 45 too. He's not looking to marry to you. He's looking to marry to somebody younger that could have children. And that's the pressure that a woman face today, because now they have to deal with loneliness, not having somebody to marry to comfort them and to come on to, right? But they have the car, they have the house.
I'm sorry, you just made me laugh when you said that. They have their car, but okay.
House, and they have a good job, right? And sometimes I heard a lady said that a woman have a child, and she said, "This is, I could provide for a child." He said, "Yeah, that's maintain a child, but you don't have a husband." And I could live without that. But deep down inside, I heard some woman conversation. I'm lonely, like I need a man in my life. I need a companion. My dog is not good enough. My dog is just dead. I need a companion. I need a real person to hug me. I need to sleep with in the night. Somebody to take for a walk. Somebody to have a conversation with. When I come home from work, I need somebody to talk to. So here we are. I think Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton was, here we are, both of us lonely. What are we going to do? So we have to find that common space to help bridge that gap, and probably start preparing our young. I told my daughter, she's 21. I said, listen to me.
Okay.
I don't want you to stay in my house until 30. You know what I mean? Career is good. You got to find yourself. Start structuring yourself. Prepare yourself not to be a girlfriend or raising a wife. I'm raising to be a wife, not a husband.
That's fair.
Yeah. I want you to get the career together. I want you to be able to have your stuff, but you need to have children. You need to produce children. You need to have a husband, have a family. And this is the thing that we have to start raising our children to become husbands and wives, not boyfriends and girlfriends, because that takes away a lot from their life. Because this multiple partner going and testing, and this one to work, I don't like that one, this one work good. It causes more stress on young people. They commit suicide. You know what I mean? Because they find themselves in a position where I've been with John, I've been with Paul, and none of them is good enough, because I have a certain expectation that they're not meeting. So somebody comes along and then they go, the guy is the same thing. I don't know. She's too multi. She have what she have already. I can't tell her nothing else. Imagine the man that was approved right now, he meet a woman that is fully educated, have her own house, have her own car. He had nothing to provide again. But support. Right? You don't feel like this man. She buying all the groceries in the house. When you go to the house, the fridge is stacked, the cabinet is full of food. You know what I mean? And he's thinking, what do I have to? What am I doing? She needs you now. You know what she needs? She needs a man now that could satisfy her in all other areas of she. Like she have the house, she have the car, she have the food. And so she needs companionship. And I think the struggle is getting people to come to that point where, you know what? Let us fix this in a nice, calm, collective way. And not just saying, you know what, I'm going to go through my life, get my career, and to help everybody else. I want to be educated. I want to have my own house. I want to have my stocks. I want to have and nothing wrong with that. It's all good. I appreciate that. But there is a time when you have to say, I need a family. I need to raise my children. I don't want to adopt. And there's a lot of people that adopt children, but if it's your own, the likeliness of your treatment and your raising the child, cultivating the mindset, helping the child, it is more coming out of you that you're putting into that child. So it's one of the stresses that we face in life is trying to decide who we are and what do we represent. You know, I said last time, it's a hard thing to be a cheap copy of somebody else, being an original of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people want to be like Mike. A lot of people want to be like Beyonce. A lot of people want to be like that person. They want San John. They want this person hat. They want this FUBU. They want everything to be like that person, to dress like that person, to be like, when they look in the mirror, do I look good? You want to think, not as themselves, but on who they look at good as besides themselves. And that add to the stress that causes a stress in our society today. Both male and female. Men want this body. They want to have this big muscular body, tall, dark and handsome, but want to have some muscle. So the girls go look at them. But I've learned something over the years, Alethea. Mm-hmm. Other women don't dress primarily to attract men. They dress to outdo other women. I've learned that from some ladies. They don't dress for men. All the time they don't dress for men, just to do better, to look better than the other woman. And I'm taught that. So when they go out, they say, "Oh my!" They ask me, "Is that my dress? You see that shoes I have on? You look at this, you know." And they start pointing out all the things that they have on them to the girlfriend, not to the guys.
I mean, I dress for both men and women, so you know, because I would always compliment someone if they look great, you know, and I love when women look good. And it always inspires me, and I always want to know, and I would ask them, "Oh, where did you get that?" Or "Who styled you? You look fabulous." We all need that tender care and acknowledgement. And if men look good, of course I'm going to tell them that they look good. I think it's nice to give people compliments and to validate them, because that's something that we've probably never had consistently growing up, when someone's just noticing, "Hey, you did something really well," or "Hey, I noticed that you look really good," or "Whoa, I like how you put that combination together." It's rare that people get those compliments. So I guess I encourage people to get those compliments. And this is a thing, right? When we're meeting people, we need to meet them with intention. And we have to be really honest about what that looks like, and how we want them to be involved in our life. Because yeah, we do have some positive things that we can get from each other, and that helps us learn and grow. But if you are saying that you're dating with intention, you're dating for long term, and you're dating for marriage, then yeah, it's a different conversation just than having a casual friendship or a casual relationship. But I believe that that is something that needs to be communicated amongst the people that are involved. And hey, if you do have a set of demands, or you have some things that you're expecting in a relationship, then yeah, you should be with someone that is open to hearing what you have to say, and then together you can really work on your relationship and grow. A friend of mine said this to me the other day, that a lot of relationships that we would think uh, would flourish, some of these relationships end because of a lack of communication.
I'm glad you make that point, because I was on a show last night, some church folks, and I said to them, we were talking about marriage and divorce, and I said to them plainly, God hates divorce, right? And he's written the scripture, and he said a number of things about marriage, and he said the only reason for marriage is fornication, right? And fornication would have happened before the marriage. And what in the Jewish culture that means, if you have sex before marriage, and I give my daughter away to somebody, and on the night of the wedding, he discovers she's not a virgin, that means she had already committed fornication with somebody else. So he could put her away for that reason, could divorce her for that reason, right? But the same Bible says you must reconcile with her, because the understand that you will be upset with her or the family at the time. You could return her to the family, right? But you could reconcile with her. But you're not allowed to marry nobody else while that person is alive, right? So there's a situation where this woman, her husband leave her, he divorced her, and he wanted to marry somebody because of some opportunity he got. And he couldn't keep her with the opportunity. He had to divorce her for the opportunity. So she's asking now if she can, as a Christian, her husband's a Christian, she's a Christian. If she can get married now. I said no. I said a hard thing a hard pill to give somebody, right? But if we are kingdom citizens, you're a church person, if you're the church is fine and you don't understand that, then that's cool. But if you're a church person, that's the law that you have to live by. That's happening, the kingdom laws that you have to live by. So you have to govern yourself accordingly. You can't break the rules, you know? So she was like, so I just remain like that for the rest of my life? I said, yes, you have to pray to God. Keep yourself together. Because Paul said in the same scripture, to keep it, I wish you are better even as I am. So
okay, yeah.
That was bad news for her. Because she wanted to marry again. But I said to her, I said, your husband did something wrong by divorcing you. As a Christian, he did something wrong because he divorced you, not for a good reason. He did a divorce like what Moses commanded them to do back then, right? Okay. So now you're trapped. He's now divorcing you, doing something wrong by divorcing you for no other reason but looking for another opportunity. And in Boston married to, he causing that person to come to adultery with him. So he's double dipping on both sides. You see? So now we leave you with a desire now to have somebody that you can't get engaged with now because of the laws that you're living under. Because when we pray, our Lord's Prayer, pray, let the kingdom come as it is in heaven. So whatever the kingdom laws is, you have to abide by it. You can't go, you understand? So the laws that governs us. But on top of all of that, I want to ask you a question. Because a lot of stress, we have a lot of stress and different financial stress, everything like that. And sex, money, and communication, and we were talking about that there, is the primary reason for divorce. 70% of all marriage ends in the church, ends in divorce. 70%. Right? 50% of all marriage in the first 5 years. Watch this. 80% get remarried. 75% of the 80% got divorced.
Okay, that's some pretty interesting stats. And
I have the book here, written by Dr. Del Zato and Karen Lee. They wrote this book. And there is another study that I read, because I do this show on a Tuesday night, so I try to read as much studies I can get on relationships. And I found a lot of people, right, divorcing for sex. And the reason that is not because he's too tall or too short. One, what some people never state clearly their sexual objectives.
Yes, but right? We're living in a society that really represses the way people, and the way that they express themselves and how they communicate. So for a woman to even feel comfortable sharing with their partner what they expect, it might be quite difficult for that woman based on the way that she was raised and some of the messages that she could have absorbed along the way. Because, sometimes we tend to gravitate to like-minded people.
Right.
And if she's in an environment where, they're not even talking about exploring your body and understanding your body and the way that it works, how would she even know how to communicate to her partner?
You know that? And you're so right, because on a woman's body, about 145 sensual points in her body, sexual points.
Okay, you studied them all, I guess.
Most men don't even know one or two. They all know.
What's that all about?
Women need to be discovered still, and sometimes women live unsatisfied in the bedroom, right? I heard a lady say the other night, and a show I was watching, she had to turn to the toy because she's not being satisfied. And
I would have to really ask her about her mindset and what's really on her mind during this time, because we really want to reserve that pleasure time. And, this is part of our neural pathways of our brain. It's a natural hormone of self-love and self-pleasure. We call it oxytocin.
Yes.
And that is a natural hormone that we all have. So I would like to ask her, how is she preparing herself for this pleasure sometimes women have so much things going on, like which bill has to be paid, which child hasn't been fed, how we're getting to work in the morning, how we're paying this bill. We have so many things on our mind that, where do we find that time
Well,
to really feel pleasure? And
single
our
women,
mind has to be clear and it has to be ready.
single women are more prone to doing that. A lot of single women. I had a conversation with a lady at a restaurant one time. I said, I can't be bothered, you know, with men just tickling my fancy. I could satisfy myself. So I bought myself a dildo, right? And I said, really? I said, so how do you um, get cuddle and in somebody's arms? He said, I miss that. But
Mm.
I have more pleasure doing my dildo with myself. I kind of go silent for a while. She asked me, I'm okay. I say, yes, I'm fine. But I am like, really? And I get to realize that she's not the only person. I was in at a Grenada Day function on Eglinton there. And I happened to stumble into a group of Grenada women from New York and the conversation turned into a sex conversation because the ex-boyfriend showed up, right? And she said, I don't have time for this little boy. You know what I mean? This and she give the whole time. So the friends are laughing. So she asked him, so one guy said, so what do you do now? He said, me, I have my own toys. And the other woman said, well, I have mine too. I have my boyfriend. I still have my when I'm home by myself. So then he at work, he can't come. And at that moment, I can't wait. So so all of those things that I hear women say, I heard a show the other night. I watched a show, a YouTube show with some young ladies, and this one girl was like the virgin in the meat. She had sex, but she was so pressured by other girls. You need to learn to squat for yourself. Like really, she tell her that, and she, if you don't know, I can come over and show you. So, and the girl said, so when what do you do? How do you show? I said, I'll go home and show her how to do it. And to teach her man how to make her do it. I'm thinking like that is a stressful thing, because now the peer pressure in her now, she never do it expecting to get it done. Level of anxiety. This friend coming over to help her. So what's not going on there now? So the whole emotion, the whole thing of you being a private person, now have somebody come into your space, right? And we're talking about not being comfortable talking to your partner about sex, right? And if you are more experienced than him, imagine you have a boyfriend who is he just get into this sex thing, but you've been around when I say around, you've been older than him. You have two boys from probably three boys from before, you have two children before, and you have been to many different sexual routines with different men already. This guy coming in now, he had to match up all the other three men. Right? So a lot of times women
He
put pressure.
focused on himself. I don't think he should be concerned about.
Yeah. But that's the pressure sometimes
Okay, but again, we're talking about their mindset
yeah.
because I mean, if they're overall, I mean, I guess it's also depends on how much information we share with each other about our past sexual lifestyle. And
Yeah.
if that's a conversation that you've had with another person and you're open to that, then okay, you're telling the person this not in terms of comparison. You're
Mm.
just talking to them about your own needs.
Right.
And
Right.
and based on those needs, then it's up to that person to say, okay, well, obviously she might have had some experience in that area, but you're with a different person. It's a different experience.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
that's your mindset and how you're prepared. But I hear you on that. If a man or a woman is really concerned about their performance
Mm.
because they're saying, hey, this person may have some more experience than I do. Yeah, but then again, if you're with someone new, every experience should be an exciting and pleasurable experience. I don't think there should be any concern or anxiety, but again, how are we arriving? How are we preparing ourselves with that person? And again,
Yeah.
it would have to be a discussion, right? Because it
As a therapist, right, psychotherapists that have this psychoanalytical mindset to that person. So a young lady comes to you and she said, look, that's the problem I'm having with my boyfriend or my husband. Hmm? I don't know how to tell him what I want. what kind of encouragement as a psychotherapist, somebody, because this is a big problem for this woman, right? She don't want to leave him, she love him. To remain with him, and she loved the relationship, but that aspect is not working out for her. And she have real concern about it. How do you calmly tell this lady how to fix this? Because she want to remain in the marriage, she want to remain in the relationship, but for somehow she don't know how to tell him that he's not performing a type of peak performance.
Yeah, well, the first thing I want women to know, just because you decide that you have your own toys or you find a way that you want to pleasure yourself, it shouldn't, that's something different than getting your needs met from your partner or from your husband. I still feel that women need to have their own space, their own personal time to discover themselves. And I want women to know that that's okay to have something else to enhance your own personal sex life. There is nothing wrong with that. Now, if you are concerned about your partner, then we have to create that atmosphere and that environment so that you feel that comfortability to approach him, because this is someone that you've chosen to be in a long-term relationship with, or even if it is short-term and things aren't as spicy as they used to be, things get in the way and we realize that. So the best way is to try and create some time, maybe to get away, or just say, hey, let's have a date night where we can just talk about how you're feeling.
Right.
And I think once the person feels heard and validated, then they would want to make some changes.
I have found
to think that, there's so many ways that you can receive pleasure. It doesn't have to be just in one way.
In your practice, and we're coming down to the end of the show here, almost an hour since we started here now, got about 10 minutes. But what I've learned also over the couple of years I've been doing this, men, I don't know if you have recognized that I've encountered a lot of it. Men don't want counseling. Men stay away from counseling. Do you find that something that often happens in your practice?
Well, I just want to let you know that I have men in my practice.
Yeah.
They seek me out because they have already heard the work that I've done in the past, or they've come across my profile and they like what they've read and they feel that I'm supportive and I'm understanding to their needs, and they have reached out to me and I have worked with them and they've improved their relationships. They've aspired to achieve more. A couple of my male clients have even been successful in achieving new positions because of the fact that they've addressed some of those barriers and some of those fears that hold them back. And working with me over a period of time, they've achieved more and they've done so much more now that they've had the validation and the support of feeling worthy and being heard in the space.
We see there's an increase in erectile dysfunction among men. And that becomes a real big problem. All right. We see a lot of videos and we saw a lot of studies. I read and watch a lot of studies, and women are complaining about this problem with the husbands or the partner with erectile dysfunction. And there's so many different medication and therapy for that right now. So the problem here then is the lack of communication on both partners' part. Probably nobody want to communicate. She knows that she's not getting the satisfaction she needs, and he knows that not performing at peak performance. So that silence drives them apart. Not able to fulfill the wife's desire. She not want to tell him about it. There is somebody listening tonight that might be experiencing erectile dysfunction, a man, what would you say to him and to his wife?
Well, the first thing I would like to say to him is I just want you to know that this is something that happens during a period of your life. And we have to look at a lot of things holistically. We have to look at your environment. How are you managing your stress? What's happening in your environment? I always like to look at what are you eating,
Yes.
because that has a lot to do with it. And you know that there are some exercises that men can do along the way to help them build up their strength. Have they been doing that? How are they really taking the time out to take care of themselves? Because I think that has a lot to do with it. So go to your doctor first and get a physical checkup. The second part is your stress. How are you managing your stress? Because you know that sometimes, because we're carrying a lot of responsibility, it does impact our body mentally and physiologically. So if you are carrying a lot of stress, how do you discharge that energy at the end of the day? That's really important. And then the third thing is your supports. Do you really feel comfortable and safe speaking to your partner about some of the challenges and some of the load that you're carrying? If you're saying no because you're really concerned about the reaction, or you feel like you might be walking on eggshells when you try to approach the person, just to let them know what you're experiencing and what you're feeling, I think it's a good time to take that assessment and to come and book an appointment and see me.
Right.
Or see a therapist. And then the other thing is mindset. Because I think you mentioned it earlier on that sometimes we have expectations and we might be thinking that, hey, if I'm not at my peak performance, then the person's going to leave me, or they're not going to be engaged with me, or they're going to withdraw. We know to ourselves when those things are happening. And again, that's where the communication piece comes in, to say that, hey, you know what? If I'm not functioning at my best, then I need to really investigate what's happening there and what I really need to do to make some changes in my lifestyle so that I can have more vigor, some more balance, some more vitality. And I grew up, my mom, she had some indigenous roots. So I'm used to having herbs. So, I really want people to start researching some of the natural remedies and natural ways of taking care of themselves. And that goes a long way to helping you with your vitality and your energy. So look into some herbs. And as Grenadian people, there's always something, right, that we can boil.
That's some Bobonde.
So
Yeah, some Bobonde.
exactly, that would give us stamina.
The stamina to keep on going the extra mile, right?
I used to call it bark, but it's
Bobonde. I think Bobonde. I think that's
yeah.
yeah. I think it's a good aphrodisiac for men.
Okay. So it should be, and because people are selling ginseng root here, and I don't think it's as powerful as Babande. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I so the communication thing. I think the icing on the cake on all things is communication, and finances, communication, and communication period across the board. People need to communicate with each other, their intention, their feeling, their emotions. Everything need to be communicated. To speak to it, sing about it, touch about it. Everything. Communication in a relationship is very important. There is this one thing I want to ask you before we go. As we're talking about psychotherapy and stuff like that. I know we talk about you getting involved in it and where you started from as well. But before we go, could you recap why you got into it, and what are some of the you identify as your strengths in and stuff in that area or your field of study and work.
Okay, so I just want to let people know that psychotherapy is the insight. It's an examination of your thoughts, your feelings, your behaviors, and your actions, and why you live and choose to do the things that you do. So, what I do is a lot of introspection and self reflection and give you that space to really start digging deep. I do not allow people to come into my space and just surface over some of the challenges that you're having. No, we like to go back to the root. It could be based in your attachment, it could be based in the way that you were raised as a child and you had some wounds and you had some trauma. So, what I am doing is giving you the tools and the strategies that you need to break free from some of those barriers that held you back as a child, that wounded you along the way, that impacted the way that you communicate and build with others. We're removing some of those stigmas and we're decolonizing the therapy. I am challenging the way that you think and the way that you move about in this world. And I'm asking you to stop and pause and reframe the way that you see yourself through mindfulness, through journaling, through meditation, through guided meditation, through cognitive reframing, and looking at those negative thoughts because I want you to be able to in include and integrate some positive ways of living and looking at yourself in self reflection and seeing how worthy and valuable you are so that you can have those tools that you need to thrive, to
Mm.
build your resilience. And once you're shining and you're feeling good, you attract good people and good energy to you. So I want you to glow. I want you to thrive. And through my mentoring, through my ability to counsel you, through my ability to give you validation and to give you support, I know that through a period of time, you're able to change the way that you think and see yourself. And then you're going to be thriving and you're going to be reaching for higher positions. You're going to be reaching for higher heights. You're going to wake up with a new sense of energy and vigor and really look at your goals and really say, hey, I want to change the way that I see myself. I want to get those desired outcomes. And through visualization and manifestation, you're able to achieve your
Mhm.
desired outcome.
Great, great. I feel like a student in a classroom today. I really do. I really do enjoy that moment. You have an event coming up.
Yes,
Uh,
I do.
does-
Next Thursday, I'm going to be talking about effective communication in relationships and how we can really look at identifying what are those things that cause us stress and what causes us to have a breakdown in communication. We're going to be looking at how we can develop some coping strategies to manage our stress and how we can reframe some of those negative thoughts and perceptions when we're ready to deal with people, and how to change our language to be more inviting, to be more welcoming, and to have people feel more open and vulnerable with us so that they will start to feel safe and really talk about some of those things that are challenging them, and then they want to come up with a solution. And I'm going to be teaching them some strategies of how they can just have more positive interactions, more positive involvement, and more positive engagement with others.
would that be
That's
on
February 22nd.
would that be on in person or online?
It's going to be online, and what I can do is provide you with the link, and
Mhm.
people can sign up. And yeah, we're going to be talking for a bit, and we're also going to be sharing, and we're going to be coming up with some ideas in community of how we can help and support one another. And then if people want to work with me, it'll give them the opportunity to see the type of strategies and style that I use to generate conversation and how you can implement these tools to get the desired outcome.
Great. Well, I'll have to invite you back on Tuesday night because Thursday gonna be the retreat online. I want to invite you back on Tuesday night, 8:30, to kind of promote that event more on the show on Tuesday
Okay,
night.
sure. And then I can also talk about my wellness event that's coming up in the summer. And it's just to help people recover from anxiety, trauma, and stress. And we're going to be teaching you all the activities and all the wellness support that you need to thrive.
Right, right. So that's nice. I feel really, really comfortable with you here tonight. That's the first time we had that kind of a sit-down conversation. We never had that conversation sitting down before. Excuse me. So I'm really happy that you were able to come here tonight and take time off your busy schedule to be on GMFM to have an open conversation. I feel so comfortable. Sometimes some conversations, some topics have kind of not really welcome by some people. They're really able to engage with me on some of the most uncomfortable truths when it comes to sex and stuff that people was not, even in church, people don't want to talk about those stuff, and they have a lot of problems in the church with the same problems that we have in society. It's not different, We
No,
all human beings. We have the same problems. Because I said before that 70% of all marriages in the church ends in divorce. 70% in the church. So we have a problem. And the elephant in the room, we don't talk about it, is sex, money, and communication. And we need to address those stuff on a regular and consistent basis where we can get people engaging and having this conversation. Because one of the things I often says that we don't prepare people for marriage effectively enough.
That's it.
Don't. I remember when I was getting married in 1996, the Catholic Church had a 3-month training program.
Wow.
3 months. And 150 couples, right? Guess how many people got married?
50?
Nope.
25?
2 couples got married.
Out of 150. Wow.
Because the training program, it was rigorous. The question that was asked, half of the people didn't even know the partner they had who was going to get married to. What they taught is just get married, have sex, have children, right? There was a big difference between the two people.
Yeah.
Not even knowing the person's favorite color, the song, what size the shoes were, who chose the garbage out, what we're going to spend Christmas, what we're going to spend New Year's, with what church, what school, who going to control the money, and it was a whole lot of different things going on. You had 150 of us. The question is, and you can't answer the question with your partner. Until at the end of every session, you have to exchange, because your question is about your partner. So you have to write all with the partner, and the questions is related to your partner.
Yeah.
And your partner family. And so it was a whole different ball game for all our people. The guy who got married was a police officer. He married to I think it was a Trinidadian girl. And he was Guyanese and she was and myself and my wife from Grenada. Then the 2 people that get married. All the rest, the thing dropped out. And in the people who stayed back, I think it was 50 hours stayed back altogether. But those who remain to take the study course, say they're taking it, they're staying right to the full thing to learn.
Okay, yeah.
And they stayed to the end, but they put off their wedding for a date.
Wow.
I don't know if they get married afterwards. I guess they would have gotten married after that, but they decided we're not ready yet. By this 3rd week, people start falling off like crazy. You know what I mean? It wasn't what they wanted. And they thought marriage, because one of the things I say to people all the time, Alethea, sex don't keep people to keep a marriage together.
There you go.
Love don't keep a marriage together. Communication don't keep a marriage together. You know what keep marriage together, relationship together? Knowledge and understanding of the person. The more you know about somebody, the better you could serve them. Once you make up your mind to be a servant, leader to that person, your marriage and your relationship will last for a very long time into eternity.
Wow, good points.
Service, understand your partner. If I know you don't like certain things, you like to go certain places, I shouldn't bring you to that place where you don't like to go. If I know you don't like certain amount of noises in the house at some time, I would not do it.
Mm-hmm.
If I know you don't like the shoes in front of the door on the ground, I shouldn't do it. You understand? I had to understand what make you comfortable in the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Your do's and don'ts. And if I live with you, over time, I will understand you and learn to serve you better.
Absolutely.
And you bring on the service.
Yeah.
How the best can be of service to you? Your relationship is about serving the next person. Not about what about you, but what about the other person? How best can I serve you? How best can I be of service to you?
Yeah.
Can I accommodate you in my space?
Yeah.
Without you having to say, you know what, I don't like John. I want outcome. Most people divorce. 90% of them, they love the partner still. They love the husband still. Right? But this thing you're doing here, I can't tolerate that. And they're gone.
Yeah.
Some husband leave a wife because they don't understand them. Man, I live with her this morning and she was so cool. I come back this evening and she want to eat my head off. This lady's just gone through a hormone change. He doesn't understand that.
Yeah, there you go. And that's a really challenging thing for a lot of people because the woman is experiencing the hormone change for the first time herself.
Yeah.
So of course she's going to be having some emotional reactivity towards those changes in her body. It's new for her too.
Yeah.
She just needs that support.
I
But
know
I get it.
I know of a pastor who walked away from his wife that she had postpartum. And he didn't understand. He called it demon possession, all kind of stuff, trying to pray on it. All you had to do is to get to a therapist or a doctor to help her with that.
Wow.
That's what she was going through. Then this other his girlfriend was experiencing PMS. He couldn't understand that. I have a friend whose husband left her, divorced her because she was going through menopause and her whole life changed altogether. And because he didn't understand this, he accused her of everything else. She didn't want to have sex with him. If she having sex with somebody, but she want to go, but she's not going to. So she was divorced. He divorced her.
Yeah, okay. He could have, received some information and some knowledge for himself about how the body works. But, if this was one of his deal breakers, wow.
Yeah, a lot of people, and I know I learned that, and I asked men to research it for themselves, right?
Exactly.
Because a woman could go through menopause for 5 years,
Mm.
6 years, up to 10 years. She can have that vibration, that mood could remain on her for 5 years. All depends on the woman, not every woman, right? And then when she research herself, when she come back to herself now again, you better be ready for her. You know what I mean? Because it's a younger person in an older body, more able, but more youthful in the process and thinking. So I've recognized that men have to be educated on how to understand the partner that you're living with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And the same for women, right? We have to understand.
Yeah. But I say men because men don't understand the moods and swings of a woman more than anything else.
Well, do they? They have mothers, so I'm sure they would have seen the same thing in their own. Well, I guess it depends on the stage of when they left home.
Yeah.
But
Some of them haven't seen
they
it.
would have. Oh, okay.
Some men never experience. Mommy might get up to you don't even recognize, understand why mommy's upset with you. Why she always cussing daddy? Why she always this and that? Why she don't want to be? So we live that life and we come and we think. But we passed our time by 50 minutes.
Okay.
Really? I don't know. But I want to thank you very much for sharing your time with us on Gem FM. And I hope that probably could get a column in the magazine to talk about,
Yes, we can continue our conversation. It was really fun and very dynamic. And this is what we do when I'm in my practice, right? We talk about conversations that matter to you. And hopefully when you leave, you have a different perspective and a renewed sense of self.
Right. So if someone want to get contact with Miss Alicia Cadeau, how can they reach you?
Yeah, so they can get in touch with me on my website, mindsilike.ca. And if you just look at the caption there, Minds I Like is all one word. They
Mm.
can connect with me on IG at Minds I Like. LinkedIn, it's under my full name, Alethea Cador, where you can read all of my posts and all of the suggestions that I offer to people as a leading expert in mental wellness in on my website on LinkedIn. And also you can join my Minds I Like Facebook group where I share strategies and tips and some of the things that I'm doing in the community.
I noticed that you've been involved in a lot of community activities. I've been scooping in and snooping in on your Facebook
Great.
page and stuff like that to see what you do, to know Alicia from afar before she come close. So I've been watching your stuff.
Yeah, I like to be in community. I grew up in community. I know that this is how we heal ourselves when
Mm,
we are gathered amongst each other and we're sharing our positiveness and our good energy and our knowledge.
right.
And I love meeting people and networking with people. And I notice that my clients will say, "Hey, I noticed that you're really visible and you are really there and you're present." And that's the type of therapist that I'm looking for. So,
Right.
hey, approach me, reach out to me. I work with all ages. And yeah, we can really start looking at some of those things that affect you and start your journey to healing and wellness.
Wow. Well, Alicia, it has been my plum pleasing pleasure as well as a privilege to have you here with me tonight. I want to thank you. And our next session with or coming up on Monday evening, Monday night, is Jude Doyle, the real deal. She'll be
Oh,
here
love June. Okay, well, say hi to
Monday,
her.
on Monday night.
Award-winning, beautiful author, amazing
Yes.
person.
To be
Yes.
here on Monday night, Family Day night.
I'm
So,
tuning in.
so tuning in, guys, and listen to the women that paving the way, successful women who are achieving a lot and doing a lot in the community. So again, we had with us tonight, Alicia Cado, Gradient born, yes, and Canadian trained with Gradient parentage. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. So thank you very much. And to those of our listeners, Louis, Noel, Ambrose, good night to you. And the many other people watching in, good night, and God bless you and make you a blessing. Wherever you go, people, love yourself and love God. Amen.
Absolutely.
Yes, do it nice and sweet and here. So again, folks, if you need to help us, support us, you can go to our website at www.gemfm.ca and make a donation of any amount. And what we really want to do, if 1 million people give $1 every month, that will help solve a lot of the problems that we want to eradicate here. So help me get a 1 million people, you know, over the next 5 years.
Wonderful.
Make a dollar donation every month. That will help us expand and do what you want to do with Gem FM radio. And if you can't afford it, $5, $2, $100 a month, $200 a year, whatever you want to do, please feel free to go to our website and make that donation at www.gemfm.ca. All right. Or we can also make a e-transfer to Genesis Magazine at rogers.com. Go also do that. All right. Have a blessed night, everybody. And Lydia, thank you so much. Have
Yeah.
a beautiful,
Good.
restful night. All right. Thank
Enjoy the
you.
weekend.
Okay. Same to you. Happy Family Day weekend.
Yes. Happy Family Day.
Yes. Okay. One love, my friend. Peace. All right.
Only one time to change my thing. Musically. Only one time to change my thing. Musically. Some music race, commercial race, political race, some music race, commercial race, political race. So they want to change my life. Musically. So they want to change my identity. Musically. Identity. Shower must be done. Shower must be done. Shower must be done. Shower must be done. Work in the east, work in the west, work in the north, work in the south, work over there. We work over here, work everywhere, work over there. We work over here, work everywhere. Only one time to change my identity. Musically. Only one time to change my identity. Musically. Identity. Who will stand up for the people? Musically. Who will stand up for the people? Musically. So they want time to change my identity. Musically. Identity. Musically. People is for the music. The music is for the musically. So they want to change my identity. Musically. So they want. All my brothers and sisters, boys and girls of our trial state of Grenada, Carrick County, Martinique. As we celebrate our 58th year of struggles to achieve total independence, let us all give thanks and praise to Almighty God. And to all our brothers and sisters who have laid the foundation of love. Let's celebrate our big city, the big city, with their dance. If they kidnap me from Africans, where we are over the Caribbean. But our problem, never give up the struggle. Never give up the struggle. And our problem, independence. Independence. So my brothers and people, we must forget to fight and find our independent papers. This time, Canadian, Preparation and apology. Fight on, Canadian, fight on. Time. Grenada. Somebody, give a mic, take a hug, knock it down, take a bow, take it back, all the big things, to all my brothers and sisters of the trial and of Grenada, Caribbean, Pintiman.
Like 5 miles long. There's no little song that makes me sing this song. The clean on the water. Friendly people meet in every corner. Togetherness and love is what we stand for. We stand for, yeah, stand for. Oh, that's how we've grown, how far we've gone. We see as we strong and more to come. More to come. From the beginning, from the people who came to sugar and jam, emancipation, revolution. Oh, down, let's back up on the road. Lord, yes, I don't know. Cause I'm never gonna go. And the one we have religions. 3 islands united as one. Let's look for strength in the other. We're more than just that island in the sun. Tell the world we are.
See us with them before the fire. Build that band of one people together.
Truly can find the words to describe from a country. So much things we take for granted, but so much things they give to me. In turn, family.
The powerful pretty madnik.
Yes, my people. Blessing. Going higher. Yes, 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 yes. We're going up, we're moving up and moving out. This is Gem FM. I'm your host, the sheriff, yours truly, John Calise. As I get ready to get out of here, I want to thank each and every one of you for staying on with us and sharing the live. And remember, stay tuned because we have a lot of educated programming. We try our best to educate, to liberate. And this is Gem FM. I'm your host, the sheriff, yours truly, John Callis. Have a wonderful night and join me tomorrow morning. Yeah, don't forget to check us Ola's Kitchen tomorrow. Morning, I will not be here tomorrow morning. Ola's Kitchen tomorrow. Come on out and get some oil down tomorrow at Ola's Kitchen, right at 477 Oakwood Avenue. Again, this show is brought to you by Ola's Kitchen, 477 Oakwood Avenue. Right? So check it out and come on down and get some of the delicious oil down from Grenada, authentic Grenadian cooking, right at Ola's Kitchen. You don't want to miss that. All right. God bless you and make you a blessing. One love, one heart, one destiny, one people, one journey, one mission. Blessings. I'm out. I'm out. Stay tuned for more music on gemfm.ca.